And I certainly hope you're having a wonderful day, and welcome back. Time for our 10 Weather Chat. Meteorologist Mike Simon, Todd Howell here with you. And yes, excited to be here again. And like we've been doing the last few weather chats, Mike, let's check in on, a couple of things. The lake levels and the drought conditions. We have some very good news. Finally, Mike, exactly. Some improvements in the drought. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Let's get right to it. Let's hop in. We had almost 2 weeks worth of beneficial rainfall. I think we measured rainfall about 12 days, pretty much in a row, 12 days worth in Knoxville. So about 2 weeks worth of rain. It made a difference, including what we're looking at, I think, right here, Douglas Lake. And let's talk about the lake levels.
Yeah, what happens to the rocks?
Yeah, well, exactly. The rocks are finally, for the most part, most of it underwater. Now, here's the remarkable part. At last check, since we started receiving our first measurable rainfall going back, I think it was Wednesday, May 20th, and again about 12 days worth, over that 12-day period, from TVA, Douglas Lake came up 7 feet from where it was.
That seems like a lot.
That's a lot. All right. It's a lot. It is a lot, right? 7 feet. But their last report is they're still 8 feet below summer pool.
That's hard to believe, but, I get it. So we need another rainy event just like we had? Right. Would it do it?
The good news, at least it was spread out over a couple of weeks. Now, we did have a flash flooding event.
There were
talking
people,
about that in
places that got an entire month's rain in very short time.
Actually, exactly. 3 to 5 inches of rain in less than 3 hours, about 2.5 hours, that flash flood event.
Yeah, you never want to see that.
No, it's not. The only benefit from that is that event occur between the Nolichucky and French Broad. Both of those flow into Douglas. So I think that was one of that flash flooding event, and a couple weeks worth of rain kind of helped to raise levels. While we're on Douglas Lake, though, it is a beautiful day you see here, and it definitely has come up a good bit from where it was. TVA says here's the key. They're expecting the water levels to be lower, continue lower than average, and even lower than what we see right now as we head through the month of June. And so here we go, and welcome to June. We got some decent rain. We finally, and we'll take a look at this in a moment, finally finished with a surplus in May. But when you move into the summer months, as you and I and we all know, you get that more scattered thunderstorms. It's more of the variety. Some areas get absolutely soaked, some areas not.
Exactly.
And they were talking about you need runoff in order for lake levels to get up. So not just the average amount of rain, you need well above average rain. And they even said, I think it's going to take an unusual type of rainfall event.
Tropical system.
There you go, tropical system. And that maybe we'll segue into talking about that. Well, that's kind of an update on the lake levels. I tell you what, thankfully, though, at least we got some much-needed rain and those water levels came up. It's not safe when the water levels are real low.
Oh, no, it's not.
All the boaters
people were fishing on those rocks and everything. They were so low.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Now you can't see them. So
exactly. I've noticed just also here at Dandridge, a lot of people have been doing fishing out on the dock. So maybe when the water levels come up, the fishing is better. All right, here we go. We are, as of the latest drought monitor, as of Thursday, June 4th, this is the latest, we're technically out of a drought in Knoxville.
Woo!
And Dandridge, yeah. How about it, Daniel? Absolutely.
It's about time.
It's about time indeed. Now, so here's the interesting part. So this was basically due to the last 2 weeks of rainfall. It was very good. And we're still abnormally dry. We're still, behind for the year. And we'll look at all those numbers in a moment. Now, take a look at the plateau. Here's what's interesting. Near Crossville and just to the west, improved. They were in the extreme drought in red. Now they're borderline, but kind of in the severe, although you see the red for just east of Crossville. And still parts of the plateau, still an extreme drought, but at least it narrowed, it shrunk
yeah, right,
a little bit. And so you kind of went from extreme to severe drought on a portion of the plateau. Also up in Kentucky, still Williamsburg, Kentucky, extreme drought. So you still have some pockets. You can kind of see the nature here. And western North Carolina, some improvements. Unfortunately, Bryson City and parts of western North Carolina still experiencing extreme drought. So this kind of hits home, I think, the fact and the point that, all right, the rain was good. It was stretched out over a couple weeks. We did make up some ground. Some of the lake levels came up a little bit from where they were, and we'll talk about we had a surplus in May. But, you're not going to get out of a significant, even extreme drought in some cases in weeks. It's probably going to take months.
It takes a little while.
It's going to take a while. So I think this graphic says a lot. It shows improvements, but it still shows that it's, in some. I'll be honest. I think I mentioned to you, Mike. I was like, man, that red. I would have thought that maybe we would almost have gotten out of that.
Gotten rid of it, yeah.
At
least on this side and away from North Carolina, yeah.
Exactly, but no, it takes a while. So there are a lot of factors being taken into account, not just the top part of the soil, but the depth of it and water source levels. So that's a look at the latest drought monitor. So good news, we did improve. All right, let's talk about, May, last month, just over a half-inch surplus. The first time this year, Mike, we've had a monthly surplus.
Well, I know, and look, it wasn't looking good because January was the wettest at the time, and every month we were going down.
That's a great point. I don't think I noticed that until you just said that. Every month we were going down until May. So it was getting worse and worse, obviously. So that 2-week event. So here's the key: we need more stretches like that.
We need to start having lots of surpluses here every month.
Yeah, exactly.
We're already 5 inches under.
That's
quarter to a third under.
Yep, 5. That's right, Mike. 5.13 deficit for the year, and there's our year. Exactly, our yearly total is just over 18.5, but that's 5 inches, over 5 inches less than where we should be. So where are we going from here? Let's look at our average rainfall. So May, the average was 4.13. We're above. This month of June, we averaged about 4.25, a little bit more. Look at July, sticks out like a wet thumb.
Yeah, it's the month that we get the most, it seems.
5.25.
At least on average.
Yeah. So
got those summer thunderstorms.
Yeah, summer thunderstorms. That's exactly right. And everybody knows this. This is where you get those heavy summer thunderstorms. So that's where collectively, eventually, hopefully everybody gets it, and you get your heavy rainfall. But everybody knows you can get 2 inches. And you go down the road,
right,
3, 4, 5 miles, and it's dry pavement. I didn't get any rain in my house, and somebody's creek or gully is overflowing.
I mean, it could even be pouring rain 30. You're talking about maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile away.
Oh yeah,
sunshine, raining while it's sunny too.
Exactly. Well, that's the nature of summertime thunderstorms. But July is our wettest month of the year on average, and it really drops off as you go then. The last part of summer, August, and then we move into our drier season, September. October is our driest month of the year on average. Then it goes back up November, December. December is our second wettest month on average at 5 inches, just behind July. So that's a look ahead to our average rainfall. So that's something to look forward to. Okay, here's Daniel's favorite graphic. Precipitable water, also known as
PWAT.
That's it, PWAT. Mike, let me let you talk about this. You can clearly see.
Well, see, when we got all that
high
rain,
moisture content in the plain states.
You see that going through the Central Plains. Now, when we got all that rain, that was positioned over here.
Exactly.
On the East Coast. And
coming up from the Gulf.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and now it's been shut off for us because of that high pressure
right,
and the big ridge that's happening at the upper levels here on the East Coast. And now they're getting it. And they've been getting a lot of rain over the central part of the United States. And
right,
they continue to. So,
yeah, exactly.
We may be bone dry, but they should be sharing their water.
Should be sharing it. You're exactly right. And that extends all the way up into the Midwest, Minneapolis, St. Paul region. So let's talk about, that's kind of the current depiction while we've been dry. Looking ahead this weekend and next week, it looks to be a little bit more tropical, summer-like with the higher humidity. And that takes us through the end of the following week. And let's see, that would be Friday, June 12th. That particular time frame here. So, kind of heading toward mid-June. We get a little bit more of a summer pattern, and you got that juice in the Gulf. Now, speaking of the juice in the Gulf, and this is a look at the precipitable water and, humidity, moisture in the atmosphere, and potential precipitation. I'll let you talk about this, Mike. This is, now that we're in the month of June, welcome to hurricane season. We'll touch on that a little bit here. There are certain development regions that are favored each month as you move through the tropical.
Did you notice the precipitable water over the Gulf is exactly in the place where it's more likely for development?
It's almost like a matching bullseye, isn't it? So what are we looking at here? We got in the month of June, pretty clear. It's I guess the East Central Gulf.
Mm-hmm. The Gulf heats up pretty quickly compared. The Atlantic is completely shut down. It's just usually not favorable for a couple of reasons. One, of course, water temperatures, and two, you have a lot of shear. You got a lot of wind that has to relax. Those westerlies and easterlies, they have to kind of calm down a little bit to allow the tropical formation. But in the Gulf, it's like a swimming pool heating up in the afternoon.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Exactly.
And there's plenty of moisture. The heat is building. A lot of times, Bay of Campeche, you'll see some development there. Right in the western part of the Caribbean.
Right.
Those are the two spots that seem to be more favorable for development. Of course, we've seen tropical systems develop right on the shoreline and blow up within 24 hours.
Absolutely.
So it can happen anywhere within in the Gulf, and that's why we look at those places.
Exactly. I love this graphic, and that's a great point. You see in the western Gulf, the Bay of Campeche, like you said, the southwest, that track would kind of come on up in maybe Texas, New Orleans area. In that favored area of east central Gulf, notice that main prevailing track with that green arrow curving across north central Florida and kind of taking across Jacksonville there. So that's kind of the typical development region. So, eventually we can get some landfalling tropical systems that make their way up into southern Appalachians, and that can bring us some
Well, and also if we get the Bermuda High building offshore, it would prevent it from that curvature and maybe just shoot it straight north.
That's a great point. That can happen, especially move the heart of summer. We don't want anything like Helene, and keep in mind it's an exceptional event.
A weakening tropical system spinning over us for a week. Well, every day you get diurnal storms, more enhanced, and that would lead to more rain.
Exactly.
Something like that, which is less intrusive than a tropical storm full blown over the top of you.
Exactly. And it's much more likely to happen, those, like you said, weakening systems that kind of drift up in here. That's what we typically say. Hey, before we move on from this graph, if folks are taking a cruise and they're looking at, you may be interested in that. I know my wife and I have taken two, and
it's fun.
It is great fun. Yeah, it's great fun. I'm going to look at the weather pattern and look down in the Caribbean and parts of the Gulf, and the Atlantic. And so anyway, June is your first month. You don't see typically a whole lot of development as much as you would see. It really starts to peak as we look ahead to the latter part of August and September.
That's when you need to have insurance if you're if you're making those plans.
Exactly. I'll tell you a side note. My wife and I, our anniversary is in late July, but with the two cruises we've gone in May specifically for weather.
Yeah, that's smart.
I'm going to take the tropics part out of the equation. So here's what we're seeing for the Atlantic hurricane season 2026 storm names. And we can have a little fun talking about this one. Do you see your name on there, folks? The first one up is the A storm Arthur. And we got some familiar names. There's Bertha. And
Cristobal.
Cristobal.
I think it's Cristobal.
Yes. And there's an East Tennessee popular. Dolly. So we'll say, and you get these first, the D, the E, the F, the G, the H, the I. Those are obviously your earlier ones. You're more common that you are going to see those. Now, here's the key. This list is going to repeat every 6 years unless it's a particularly devastating hurricane and damaging or deadly hurricane, et cetera, notable. Then it will be retired from the list and it will be replaced.
Right.
Have extra names.
Come up with different names.
Come up with other names. So these, as long as they're not overly damaging, deadly, or overly significant, then these will repeat every 6 years.
The only one that seems difficult to pronounce, maybe, what's the I storm?
Give me a second.
Isaiah?
Give me a second. See, it's taking me a second.
Isaiah?
Isa. Oh, you put me on the spot. Isa.
I know. No, I don't know either. I didn't look.
It's got three syllables. Isaias. Oh gosh, I'm gonna kick myself because I don't. You know what? We have a pronunciation guide.
Yeah, I know. I need to look at that.
That's gonna bother me if I don't think it. Isaias. That's my first guess. It's weird, and I don't want any storm name to retire because it'd be bad. But when that one ever does, I won't.
They retire them. They got to come up with other names somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, so we are looking. Go ahead.
I just want to say, if that's your name or you know someone with that name, write into the show.
Yeah,
and let us know how to say it.
Right into the show. That's right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, as soon as we leave here, I'm gonna go to pronunciation guide and I'm gonna look at it. I'm like, doggone it, Isaias. I think that's my best guess. Right? It's something weird. It's something sounds different than it looks. Real quick before we go on, Nana, that's my wife's grandma name.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm Papa and she's Nana. So I'm just throwing that out there. I hope we don't get to Nana too much. We don't want to get to Wilfred.
No.
And then you have to go to
too many storms.
Extra names, exactly. Too many storms. So with that, let's talk about, and again, we're going to be talking about the tropics throughout the summer season, and our whole weather staff will be keeping you up to date on that. So here's a look at our rain chances just in the near term for the next week. We've got some scattered rain chances, kind of that summertime variety pattern. Best chances afternoon and evening. It looks like from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Going to be a little bit more humid and a little bit more tropical-like. And as far as rainfall, now this is the same time frame. Wow.
Well, that's good for the western part of the state.
That's good for the west part of the state.
Because they're in drought conditions, too.
Exactly.
And that looks pretty good. A bullseye.
It does. That's, matter of fact, that's the latest. I mean, that's pretty much a 4-inch. That's a 3-inch plus. I think that's maybe almost a 4-inch plus around, I don't know, northeast of, just east of Jackson. And between Jackson and Nashville, west of Middle Tennessee. So, yeah, that's what it's looking like in west and middle Tennessee, heaviest amounts. Zooming on in.
And it corresponds with the P-watts.
The P-watts? That's a good call, Mike. Exactly. Here's what we're looking at on the plateau. Got an inch or more, maybe an inch and a half over the next 7 days. Come on into the valley. From the western valley, you still got maybe a half inch to 3/4 inch. And then from Knoxville, it's basically around a half inch or less. And again, this all depends on where you see the convective downpours, et cetera, setting up. But lighter amounts in the east. It's kind of what we've been seeing a little bit, the nature of what we've seen so far this from spring and now into kind of the early summer season. But, yeah, a little bit heavier back to the west. By the way, speaking of summer season, meteorological summer began June 1st. The Atlantic hurricane season began June 1st. Technically, summer officially begins June 21st. Astronomical summer, it's the summer solstice, longest day of the year. So unofficially, we're in the summer season.
Right.
Months, but
sure feels like it.
It sure feels like it, and it's going to feel like it. All right, Mike, I think that'll do it.
We covered it.
We covered it. That's a wrap for this segment. Thank you for joining us, folks. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more 10 Weather Chats. We'll see you down the road.